Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lena for those that are new here, and I'm just going to speak to you about my experience applying for a UK ancestry visa. Now these are just some tips that I would like to give. I applied for it first and it was declined. I'm just going to go through why it was declined, and then the second time I did it and it was approved. Now we all know I cannot even stress enough, I'm sure you can relate how stressful of an experience it was for me personally, and I just found like there was a lot of missing information or just not enough information for me on the government website. So I'm just going to run through it very quickly. I'm not going to bore you. So first of all, UK ancestry visa. Now, what route did I take? Again, this is just my personal experience that I went through. So the route that I took was, so I have a grandparent that was born in the UK, and he adopted my mom, so it was through adoption. Now back then, I'm from Zambia, just so you know. Back in Zambia, my mom didn't even have a birth certificate, and one of the requirements is you have to show the link. So what I had was something that's called an affidavit. So just to say, so basically it was a letter that was written up by one of our solicitors to prove that my mom was indeed my mother. She is on my birth certificate, but she doesn't have a birth certificate, and that couldn't link her to my granddad. So anyway, so we had an affidavit. So even though you don't have a birth certificate, there still are other ways. Just look in your country, speak to a solicitor and get a letter. There are ways to do it. So first of all, I'm just speaking about the link, to link my grandfather to my mom to me. So I had a birth certificate. She had an affidavit, my mom, and I didn't have his birth certificate at the time. So the reason mine was originally declined was I had everything else. I had his passports. He's passed away, by the way. So I had his passports, I had all that information, but I just didn't have his birth certificate. But I just assumed that all the other evidence that I have would prove the link. But no, it was declined based off of that reason. So I'm going to tell you now, if you do not have that birth certificate, you need it, and how to get it. And it was just so frustrating because I didn't know that all I had to do was just go online and I could just get it. And I got it within a couple of days. The government website, I'm going to link it. If you don't know where to get it, you can find the birth certificate. Anyone can get it. These are public records. So I just wasted my own time and money initially with my first application. So that's why it was declined. So we're just gonna go through a quick overview of what is required for UK ancestry visa. Now you need your current passport, okay? And you need your full birth certificate. And as I've already mentioned, you don't necessarily need a birth certificate. If you don't have one, speak to your lawyers. They can work something out for you. Secondly, birth certificates of your parents and grandparents that your ancestry is claimed on. And then you also need evidence that you're planning to work in the UK. Now, I had no job offer, as it claims you should have. I had no job offer. All I put in my application was my CV and my degrees. So I have a undergrad and a master's degree. So that's what I put as evidence that I will be able to find a job. And guys, even though you don't necessarily have to have 2 degrees, but you just have to show an intent to work. So a CV should be more than sufficient. Or I would also link things like you applying for jobs. So I would take screenshots of things like that, print them out. That also helps that you are trying and you're not just, going to come here and not do anything, is essentially what it is. But you don't have to have a job. Please, I must emphasize that. So that one is quite easy, not a problem. I think anyone can do that one. So evidence of bank statements that you can support yourself and any dependents in the UK, and must be dated within 31 days from when you submit your application. Now, with bank statements, as you may or may not know, you don't necessarily have to have the money in your own bank account. So for me, guys, I was young at the time when I moved. I don't know, I was 23, I think, 24. And I use my mom's bank statement. So you can have anyone. It doesn't necessarily have to be a parent. It could be a close family friend. It could be anyone. You could use their bank statements, but all they have to do is write a letter. So whoever statements that you're using, just make sure that there's a signed letter copy of them saying that they're going to support you and they are going to help you out with your move to the UK. And yeah, so again, it could be anyone's statements that you could use as long as there's a letter that is signed and dated. Now, with the statements, I would say minimum 3 months bank statements of sufficient funds. And what is sufficient funds is a very gray area of what this is. And after a lot of research and a lot of digging, I'm going to link I'm going to show you what I found here, and you guys can have a read on it. But I would say, right, I'm just going to link it because I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but you have to have at least a minimum, I would say, honestly, to have a safe bet, this amount in your account. Now, next, so depending on your circumstances, so this is just based off of one person going to the UK. Now, of course, if you have a family and it's based off of that, obviously you need to show more money, and those I'm just going to speak about, and I can make a separate video if you want, about families that are applying on UK ancestry visa, but this is solely just for people for single individuals that are moving by themselves, because obviously you need more money if there's more than one person. So how much does the actual application cost? The application costs £637, and this is not including the NHS fees, which is £5,135, I believe. I'll put the amount on the screen in case I'm wrong. But guys, this is not a small amount. And like I said, it's a very, very expensive visa to be getting. And let's not forget, this is a money-making business. So please, I cannot, and if you've skipped everything, please watch this part. If you do not have the documents required, do not bother applying for it. Because at the end of the day, right, yes, the NHS fee is refundable if your visa declined, but that £637 is not refundable. So you do not want to be giving this government money for the sake of it. So they will decline it. It's a money-making business. So their job is actually to to decline it. They want to decline it. So please don't give them any reason to decline it. So if you have anything missing, do not bother. Learn from me. Do not bother applying, right? So anyway, if you guys want me to elaborate on anything of any further questions regarding UK ancestry visa, I would love to answer or make another video for you, or part 2. And just let me know if you have any questions, and good luck, and I hope to see you here.